first at noon. She walked into the courtroom without shackles and without handcuffs. Casey Anthony no longer in her prison garb, but rather a gray business suit of sorts. At issue, 4 motions, from allowing the defense team to inspect the crime scene to the removal of prosecutors from the case. We've got live team coverage from the Orange County Courthouse. Let's get started with Jessica D'Onofrio. And Jessica, did they decide on a trial date?
Well, prosecutors say they're not ready to go to trial at this point, and the defense says they're still waiting on a mountain of discovery. But prosecutors say they did think that this would possibly go to trial at least by the end of this year. Meanwhile, it looks like prosecutors are going to be able to stay on this case. Casey Anthony traded in her jail jumpsuit for a blazer and pants this morning. Sitting with her hair pulled back in a bun, she sat quietly during a court hearing for her murder trial. The 22-year-old's defense team argued a rare emergency motion to get prosecutors thrown off the case.
Your Honor has an obligation to make sure that there wasn't a motivation to try to hurt the representation with Mr. Baez or Miss Anthony.
It all started when someone from the prosecutor's office forwarded a copy of a statement issued by defense attorney Jose Baez's media representative to the Bar Association. It criticized the state attorney's office for seeking Casey's indictment, suggesting it was done for political reasons just before the state attorney was up for re-election. The defense believes it was done in an effort to intentionally harm Casey Anthony's Sixth Amendment right to counsel.
Your Honor needs to know, even if not us, who filed the complaint, if it is true, and then if it is true, there has to be some type of hearing about the motivation to file it. Whether these prosecutors knew that it was being filed, why was it being filed, what was discussed, was there any motivation?
Defense counsel clarified that they do not believe that the main prosecutors on the case notified the bar, but that maybe one of more than 100 attorneys within the state attorney's office did. Prosecutors claimed the defense failed to show how the anonymous complaint affected Casey's rights.
If they are suggesting that a bar complaint is embarrassing to Mr. Baez or time-consuming or requires him to hire a lawyer or to take other action, that inures to him, not to Miss Anthony.
Judge Stan Strickland denied the defense motion, saying their argument was light on the facts and that it's a matter for the bar, which has already dismissed any complaints against Jose Baez. The judge also granted a motion to let the defense inspect the crime scene where Kaylee's body was found. For now, I'm live at the Orange County Courthouse. Jessica D'Onofrio, Local 6.
All right, Jessica, we had a number of motions today. What about the motion to get, the records from that Texas search group, EquiSearch, the group that organized those thousands of folks to help find little Kaylee? At the time, no decision was reached. What's going on right now?
Well, the judge didn't rule on that this morning, Eric. He took it under advisement, and we're still waiting to hear on what he's decided on that.
All right, Jessica D'Onofrio live outside the Orange County Courthouse for us. Now, as we showed you, Casey had a much different appearance today versus her other appearances in court. No jail suit, no shackles, instead in a business suit. Mike DeForest continues our live team coverage from the courthouse, and more on that, as well as her body language. Mike?
Well, Eric, typically a jail inmate, a criminal defendant, will dress up if they're going to be in front of a jury, just so those jurors don't put any kind of prejudice against a person wearing a jail jumpsuit. It's not very usual, though, for someone to dress up for one of these pre-trial hearings. But then again, it's not very usual that Casey Anthony would be in court for one of these hearings until the judge issued this order that she had to be here. Well, she's really missed out on a lot of her previous court cases. At first, Casey was brought into the courtroom with her hands shackled and a chain around her waist. But before the hearing started, her lawyers escorted her out. Soon, Casey returned with no obvious signs that she had just come from the jail. Prior to the judge entering the courtroom, Casey was all smiles as she chit-chatted with her attorneys. We even saw her giggle a few times.
All right.
But once the judge emerged and things got down to business, Casey seemed to become much more serious. Until now, Casey has avoided attending most of her court hearings, but today she appeared interested in her case, at times scribbling on a notepad.
I saw a completely different demeanor with Casey.
Susan Constantine is a body language expert who often helps attorneys select jurors.
She seems to be very depressed. There's a lot of sadness, lots of anxiety. Of course, when she was sitting there, she was fidgeting with her fingers. Even when she was holding the pen, she was fidgeting. And I saw her take a lot of deep sighs and a lot of internal dialogue going on. She even went into kind of an internal dialogue trance. So she's in very, very deep thought about what's going on.
Casey Anthony's attorney, Jose Baez, says all of this talk that we're doing right now about Casey's appearance is precisely the reason why he does not want Casey being forced to go into court. He says there's just too much unneeded speculation. And he also told us after today's hearing there was absolutely no strategy involved in Casey being dressed up today. He said that just didn't have anything to do with anything important. However, Baez's statement contradicts what his spokesperson told me just a couple days ago. That spokesperson, Todd Black, said, yes, this is important what Casey Anthony looks like in court. And in fact, they have already decided that one of the issues that they will appeal this case on, should Casey be convicted, is the fact that she has been seen in court before wearing shackles and a jail uniform. So we don't know what to think from what the defense is saying on this. Reporting live at the Orange County Courthouse, Mike DeForest, Local 6.
Mike, thank you for that. Meantime, after the hearing, there was plenty of criticism and reaction from Casey's defense team and the attorney representing the Anthony family. J.R. Stone has what both had to say about what took place at the Orange County Courthouse and why Casey's family didn't show up.
The big names all made it to the Orange County Courthouse this morning: Casey Anthony, Jose Baez, and Brad Conway. But 3 people were not in attendance: Casey's parents, George and Cindy, and her brother, Lee.
They were torn, and the last 2 weeks, the media attention, the pressure of the last 6 months, and the constant back and forth is just too much.
The family's tough times have become evident. George has spent the last week at the Halifax Medical Center after he went missing. Authorities later found him, but they also found suicidal notes in his car. And with that in mind, we asked Jose Baez when Kaylee's funeral could take place.
Again, that's another aspect I've chosen not to comment on. I don't think it's anybody's business about this child's remains or her funeral or anything like that. That's a family matter. That's a privacy matter, and it's not for lawyers to be talking about.
And with funeral arrangements up in the air, the Anthonys continue to keep quiet. Nevertheless, they're hopeful that their daughter Casey will make it through these tough times.
They are supporting her, and they do love her. That's their daughter. That's their daughter, and they love her, and that's never going to change.
The Anthony's family attorney, Brad Conway, has hinted to us on a number of occasions that the Anthonys are ready for a Kaylee funeral. So we again asked Jose Baez when that may happen, but he again would not give us any set dates. For now, reporting in Orange County, J.R. Stone, Local 6.